Armageddon was introduced in patch 2.7 as a way to upgrade the seer build for druids, and with that they've made one of the greatest builds, in my humble opinion, for season 35 of Media Nexa. The pros for the builds are, besides buffs, you'll only need to walk to deal damage, you'll get melee devotion, 50% fizz resistance with 2 skill points, it's a spell based damage build, so you'll have a very nice scaling for endgame, insane HP pool, you'll passively gain defense, damage avoidance, life regen, spell focus, and large strength and vitality bonuses, and it speed farms maps and bosses with pretty much no issues. The downside is that you can have issues finding late game items in SSF. The high mana cost for single target DPS can be very annoying, and I guess this is not a Havoc Sork. Leveling this build starts out as a Bear Druid, using Rend and transitioning around level 37. I just for the sake of this video leveled a second Bear Druid in hardcore SSF, just to show how simple it can be. The physical bear doesn't really need any unique items, just a shark weapon rune word in an axe, and the classic leveling rune words like Tal rune for Honor Helm, S for Rainbow Belt, and L for Enlightenment Gloves. If you aren't having issues leveling this way, keep your arcane crystals from finishing Act 2 and 3 to make your fire uniques earlier. Speaking of which, your uniques to look for after transitioning to fire are Archon's Wrath for weapon, Lantern Rogue or Earth Song for helm, Lumen Arcana rune words, Cloud Ladder shield. You should use a tier 1 or 2 so you don't need to spec into more dexterity. Police Verso gauntlets, Wake of Destruction greaves, and Aerian Orbiter belt. You can replace the belt and boots with honorifics, focusing the boots on movement speed, and the Mystic Orbs on fire spell damage, elemental resist, and life regen. But you will need like 400,000 gold for both of these items, and level 70 plus, so it can definitely wait. And here's my skill tree at level 53, just after finishing normal difficulty, which only took me like, what, 90 minutes? You can unspec a bark skin and put points into it after Armageddon and Spiritual Alignment are maxed out. If you need more single target DPS, go for more points into Wildfire, but it'll have a high mana cost, so consider mana on melee attack Mystic Orbs. And for a little extra info on that, you'll actually want some sort of attack rating bonuses, because even though your Wildfire will spawn fires, regardless if it hits or not, you won't recover life and mana if your attack misses. Also, during any point of the campaign, you can go to Act 2 and get a Shapeshifter Mercenary for free Bloodlust procs for extra spell damage, which scales with your Mercenary's skill level. It also lets you go Shapeshifter Tag Team. Moving into Nightmare difficulty, I try to get your uniques to tier 3 and 4, and max out Mystic Orbs on honorifics if you use any. For maximum resists, pay attention to perfect gem drops, such as Ruby, Topaz and Sapphire, or Bloodstone, Ember, Onyx and Turquoise. For me, it took roughly 1 hour, still on hardcore SSF by the way, to blitz through Nightmare with pretty much no issues and not a single piece of tier 4 item. Here's my skill point distribution at level 101 after finishing Nightmare. You can find the links to all my snapshots in the description. From hell difficulty, you can start to look for a few sacred item bases for crafting with shrines. Easiest way to get shrines is from the Gibding quest in all 3 difficulties. What you want are fascinating shrines for the plus fire spell damage minus enemy fire resistance bonuses. The item bases in question are Balanced Axe, any Druid Helm, either Spite or Bone Shield, and high defense bases like Greaves for boots or Gauntlets for gloves. But these items will have higher strength requirements as well. If you're struggling to find rare items to craft, you can always use Charcy's Imbue quest to make any items rare. I personally save up mine for body armor, weapon, and the Druid Helm. For the weapon, plus 4 Druid skills, minus enemy fire resist, plus fire spell damage, all attributes, life after each kill, mana on melee attack are all great stats to have. For the rest of the items, pretty much look for the same stats. Chest piece can roll plus 2 all skills, Druid Helms up to plus 4 Druid skills, and both shields and gloves can give you plus 2 Druid skills each. If you have no luck with the upcoming late game items, these can still be very strong with high rolls. Just make sure you use Oils of Intensify for Shrine Blessing to get better rolls. It will really make a difference. For endgame, you'll want the entire Curse of the Zakarum set, simply for how powerful of a bonus it gives. Without the minus 60% enemy fire resist, you'll have a hard time progressing into later bosses and zone. The full set also gives you access to Path of Flames, a buff skill similar to Paladin's iconic Vessel skill. This is a surprising amount of frequent fire damage to nearby enemies, helping you out with even more automatic damage. For late game, you'll want to use an Instinct, which not only gives plus 6 to Druid skills, but also minus 50 Fire Pan, bonus damage to Mark of the Wild, and up to 265 life on kill, which gives incredibly strong sustaining farming zones. The downside is that you will need to find a girl rune, which isn't the easiest to come by. Also, don't forget Oil of Conjuration. It comes from Act 5 side areas in Frigid Highlands and Ariad Plateau. It has a 40% chance to add 10% spell damage to your weapons. Just make sure your weapon doesn't have the already upgraded text on it. For the body armor, Blazing Armament is our choice. Alongside phenomenal offensive stats, it also gives 25 defense per 1% fire spell damage. And with my current character, that means more than 130,000 defense. For the shield, I still use a crafted bone shield with +2 druid skills. An easy alternative early on can be Zakarum's Guidance, but the ideal choice would be Celestial Barrier for 5 all skills, large minus enemy elemental resist, and 6 sockets for crafted jewels. Speaking of crafted jewels, the stats you want on them are Spell Focus, Fire Spell Damage with spell damage from the Catalyst, Vitality percent, and either Life or Magic Find. For rings, you can use items like Raz Al Ghedi or Seal of the Nephilim Kings, or just a well-rolled rare item with all skills, Spell Focus, Fire Spell Damage, and minus enemy fire resistance. Don't forget the Oil of Greater Luck for 5% or more spell. Pretty much the same goes for amulets. You can use a Tesseract with high fire rolls, or simply a rare or crafted amulet with 4 all skills, fire spell damage, minus enemy fire resist, and life. But you can also go for a non-stat variation. I'll leave a link for 2 builds. One of them uses an Indigo and other high spell damage sacred uniques. Other uses Radiance and relies on items with high light radius, such as Locket of Dreams, or even the quest string from the Void to gain fire spell damage and spell focus. Look for both in the description. For the skills, once above level 125-130, using this specialization from Hell Bale to get more points into Armageddon and Wildfire will help a lot with DPS. 1 point into both Symbiosis and Survival Instinct is enough, since their base effect is strong enough, although you can put 15 points into Symbiosis to get more damage avoidance, or 20 points into Harvesters if you'd like higher life regen from it as well. For charm upgrades, Coatsing Trophy gives 10% spell damage, Sleep Charm upgraded with Astroga Trophy gives +2 all skills, or Yashari Sanctum for 25% spell damage. If you're lucky or rich, you can just do both with an Awakening and use Druid skill large cycles in your Corrupted Wormhole for maximum DPS. You can get fire spell damage Bone Chimes, just not entirely sure how to gain damage to undead and demons. And for your dimensional key, try to look for Corrupted Assassins, because they drop Arcana key, which gives spell damage and spell focus once upgraded. And that was the Armageddon Druid build guide. Let me know in the comments if you would like it or if you have any questions. And until the next video, see you later. Bye!